While it's been Pakistan's bitter reality for decades, Afghanistan followed suit after the Taliban takeover. But in Bangladesh, it was after the fall of Sheikh Hasina's government that led to the brutal massacre of Hindus, which many like RSS have also referred to as a systemic Hindu genocide under Bangladesh's interim advisor Mohammad Yunus. But India has not forgotten any of this. In fact, the Ministry of Home Affairs has now pushed out new provisions, this under the Immigration and Foreigners Exemption Order 2025. A move that offers significant relief to minorities fleeing religious persecution in Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh. But critics like the TMC have been quick to criticize the BJP. With cut-off deadline extended and no provision of documents, the step has also raised eyebrows. The opposition claims it's a strategic move to create confusion just ahead of the election season and further BJP's Hindu nationalism agenda. They're even calling it an underhand attempt by the government to push ahead the CAA. While the political showdown continues, one cannot deny or overlook the brutal persecution of minorities by extremists in our neighboring countries. So was it a need of the hour, or has it been strategically timed just ahead of elections in Bihar, Bengal and Assam, as the opposition is claiming? We'll take that up with our guests in just a bit. But first up, the new provisions provide for a broader scope if compared to CAA, but they also come with a set of conditions. The new provisions have been introduced under the Immigration and Foreigners Exemption Order of 2025. They offer relief to minorities fleeing religious persecution in Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh. But the exemption comes with strict safeguards. What are they? Because foreigners found guilty of serious crimes will not be eligible for protection under this order. The latest order does not guarantee citizenship, but it secures the right to stay for a larger group of migrants who arrived up to the end of December 2024. However, it also empowers state and union territory authorities to detain illegal immigrants until deportation. While the new provisions provide immediate reassurance to the persecuted minorities, the rules mandate biometric data collection for all foreigners applying for visas or registration as overseas citizens of India to strengthen oversight. Under the new provisions, migrants who entered India on or before December 31st last year are eligible to stay on. However, order also places restrictions on employment of foreign nationals in critical sectors. According to the notification, minorities fleeing persecution in Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh are also eligible, and so are Hindus from these countries, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis and Christians who entered India on or before December 31st, 2024 without valid passports or with expired documents will not face deportation. That was the prime concern till last year or some months ago as well. Here's what the contentions over the move are now. While the move highlights India's concerns over religious persecution in neighboring countries, it may also polarize voters in states like West Bengal and Assam before the 2026 assembly election, and reinforce the BJP's Hindu nationalist agenda, as the critics of BJP are also claiming. It may polarize voters in Bihar amid scrutiny of illegal Bangladeshi migrants under SIR issue, thereby boosting the BJP's narrative. In Assam, extending the CAA cutoff to 2024 could clash with the Assam Accords of 1971 cutoff, threatening Assamese identity, which can also strain BJP's alliances with regional parties and indigenous groups. Furthermore, the move may amplify fears of anti-Muslim bias linked to the NRC, potentially intensifying constitutional scrutiny, with over 200 Supreme Court petitions already challenging the CAA's alleged discriminatory framework. But the context for India's action is underscored by persistent reports of persecution and violence against Hindus in neighboring countries. According to a report by Human Rights Commission in Pakistan, religious minorities in Pakistan, particularly the Hindus, are facing systemic persecution, forced conversions, mob violence, particularly at the hands of extremist mobs who often target temples, Hindu homes, and businesses, and in most cases, there's little to no action by the police. In Bangladesh, following the fall of Hasina government, subsequent political instability was accompanied by a surge in targeted violence against the Hindu minority. Numerous reports have emerged of attacks on Hindu homes. Their businesses, temples have all been destroyed, vandalized, burnt. The interim administration led by Muhammad Yunus has condemned the violence following India's sustained efforts and assured of the Hindu community's safety. But remember, nothing much has been done on ground level. Under the Taliban's rule now, religious freedom for minorities has been completely eroded in Afghanistan. Groups like Hindus, Sikhs face constant threats. The Islamic State Khorasan province, a militant group, has been accused of frequently targeting the minorities there. The persecution has driven the remaining Hindus and Sikh populations to flee the country. So when it comes to persecution protection, is this a sanctuary for the persecuted, or the need of the hour, or even is it timed to the polls? That's a question we'll be taking up with our guests in just a bit.
If they will not be deported, then with the process of naturalization, they will become the citizen of India.
This is nothing but only to make confusion and divert the issues.
All right, let me introduce my esteemed panelists today. I'm joined in by Radhika Khera, who is a spokesperson for the Bharatiya Janata Party, Nikul Patel, who is a leader of the Congress, Tausif Ahmed Khan, who is a political analyst, and Harsh Daya, who is a political analyst as well. A very warm welcome to Radhika and all the gentlemen over here. Tausif, if I may begin with you, what is the bone of contention over here? This, when the persecuted are going to seek protection, is what the Home Ministry and, of course, the centre has claimed.
So this is another election gimmick. BJP is eyeing on the election. First Bihar, then Bengal elections are due. In all non-BJP states, the BJP government is facing anti-incumbency. BJP has chances, very bleak chances of winning these elections, either in Bihar or in Bengal or anywhere else in non-BJP states. Therefore, to polarize, and record shows that every time BJP has polarized, it has helped them. Therefore, this is for the elections that they are bringing all these issues. It is only after BJP came to power that minorities in neighboring states have been persecuted, according to them. And all the illegal immigrants, BJP says it will absorb them, and we put the limited resources that is available for the existing citizens in the country with huge population that we are, where the BJP is now opening the floodgate only to create confusion and as a diversionary tactics where BJP has no answer. Look at what is happening. BJP's failure in foreign policy. Prime Minister Modi has been sidelined both by his long-term howdy Mr. Trump, his best friend. For him, he spent
how
so
is this
much
a failure of
money.
how is this a failure of foreign policy when you are trying to protect the minorities who are being persecuted? And this is not just limited to the Hindus, you're also including the Jains, the Christians and the Parsis. And we all know the reality in Afghanistan, the reality in Bangladesh, particularly in the last 1 year, there's been a massacre which several have also labeled as a genocide, but I'm going to abstain from using that term. But still, how is that a failure of foreign policy when you're only giving refuge to the persecuted minorities?
You see, these reports are manufactured in the false factory, a factory where these false and lies are propagated of BJP media cell. and then propagated in the media, in a mainstream media like yours. The persecution.
No, there is no propagation
The
over here,
so-called, of
Tausif.
course, there is no so-called persecution. Yes, in India, Indo-Bangla border, the Home Ministry has opened the gate after the fall of Sheikh Hasina, and all the Sheikh Hasina political leaders are
So,
presently living in India.
are you saying that all of that imagery that was coming out from Bangladesh, where in fact Hindus have come forward to share their experiences of the vandalism, the arson of temples being destroyed, the Hindus particularly being targeted, is propaganda by the BJP in India?
100%. These are all Sheikh
Okay,
Hasina
time I
Awami
bring it.
League
Okay,
men.
let's hear it from the other
It's a
side.
political fight in Bangladesh, and India should not become a part of that. But
All right,
nevertheless,
I
Prime
want to
Minister has
bring in
chosen to do
Radhika
so.
now. Tausif, I've given you, thank you for setting up the tone of this discussion. Radhika, I want you to come in on what is the BJP propaganda here and what is the truth as far as the persecution of minorities in Bangladesh is concerned. And it's not just about Hindus, Buddhists and Christians have also stepped forward in Bangladesh.
Good evening to everyone. When we talk about relief for persecuted minorities, let us remember who we are speaking for. There are families from Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh who are Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis, and Christians who were attacked for their faith, denied basic rights, forced to convert, and treated as second-class citizens in their own countries. They crossed the border not for economic opportunity, but simply to survive. Now, India is the world's largest democracy and the natural homeland for these persecuted communities has a moral duty to give them dignity and security. That is why the CAA was brought, and which is why the government has now assured that refugees who arrive till 31st December 2024 shall not be deported. For them, this is not just paperwork, it is life itself. But sadly, the opposition has turned even this humanitarian step into propaganda, an agenda, and last minute hanging onto the straw for the Bharatiya Janata Party. Because for them it is apparently anti-Muslim, which they have also called it, because they're deliberately hiding the truth that Indian Muslims are completely untouched by CAA. That is the agenda that these people are running, which is why they have a problem with this. They are spreading fear in Bengal and Assam, knowing very well that the act only protects those fleeing religious persecutions from Islamic majority nations. Why? Because for them, appeasement politics matters more than human lives. And this is why the gentleman over here also has a problem. He has a problem that people are going to live. The choice before us is extremely clear. Do we stand with helpless minorities who have nowhere else to go? Or do we allow the opposition's false narrative to deny them relief? The government has chosen compassion. The government has chosen compassion, and the opposition has chosen confusion, which is absolutely clear. Even
Nikul
from this
Patel, I
gentleman.
want to quickly bring you in on the Assam angle, because many have said that this is going to be a direct threat to the indigenous identity of the Assamese. It's also going to threaten the Assam 1971 Accord, and that it's been strategically carried out or orchestrated before the assembly elections of 2026. Would you weigh in on that?
Yeah, I would like to give you an answer, but before that, I would like to take you years back when India was divided on the base of religion, and we know that Hindu and Muslims were divided into two countries, that is Pakistan, Bangladesh, and India. Now, from that, the days are there, and now when the popularly elected government in 2019 brought the act, that is Citizen Amendment Act, and as per Constitution, this law is enforced in the country. And based on that, if the government is thinking of bringing minorities in the other countries back to the home, then it's most welcome step. But if you see Bharatiya Janata Party is really interested in bringing those people back to the country, I think since 2019, nothing major actions has been even taken by the Pradhan Mantri or the Home Minister. It's a just, you know, that what is happening in Bihar and Bangladesh, West Bengal right now. And that is the major threat. Bharatiya Janata Party is feeling that they are not able to form the government over there. So they brought SIR in Bihar, and what we seen that they have removed 65 lakh voters, and now Supreme Court had asked them. So all this thing is going on. Now there is an election in the West Bengal coming on, and they want to play this game of Hindu-Muslim again. I think people of the country has really understand what is the fact and what Bharatiya Janata Party is thinking of. But we are here to support everything because it's a law, and Congress believes that if the constitution says that minorities has to be brought back from the other countries, we are ready for it. But don't play this Hindu-Muslim game in this country, because this Bharatiya Janata Party is really want to play this game over the bipoles that are going to come.
Radhika, how do you
Can I just
respond to the
respond?
allegation, particularly on
I really
SIR
want to
in
know-
Bihar? No. There's also this impending fear of how this is going to further divide the electorate, because you already are looking at the illegals and now you're going to choose between the Hindu illegals and the Muslim illegals.
It is not just the Hindu illegals. Like you have also categorically said, we are talking about minorities in Muslim-dominated countries, whether it's Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis, and Christians. I don't understand why does the Congress or the other opposition have a problem with that? Why are they only hell bent upon one religion people all the time? Their entire politics revolves around only the Muslims. Why are they always running after the Muslims all the time? Are Hindus not Hindus, Sikhs, Christians, not human beings? They are not bothered about them. They are the only, just because of their vote bank, they only concentrate on one community. It's not correct. And what is the problem in this? If the minorities who are being persecuted in Muslim dominated countries are being given a safe space over here, are being allowed, and India is being, हमारे यहाँ तो वासुदेव कुटुंबकम की बातें होती है. That is the Sanskriti that we have grown up with. That is the Sanskriti that Bharat is well known for. We are saving the lives of people who are being persecuted in their own countries just because they are minorities. And they are looking at India because in India, no religious minority is persecuted in the way there are so many minorities in India. Just because they are not majority over here, they are not persecuted and treated the way they're treated in Bangladesh or Pakistan. Should we become Bangladesh and Pakistan? Is that what the Congress wants? I really don't understand their confusion is. They are so confused. Now he starts talking about Bihar over there. Now, if you're talking about Bihar and he's talking that the names have been deleted, there needs to be clarity. There have been enough media channels who have gone, and Hindi, English,
Okay.
not just your channel. Every channel has gone on ground in Bihar.
I
and
think
everyone
Nikul,
has seen
Nikul
that
wants
there's
to make
nothing
a
wrong.
point over there. Nikul, would you want to come in on that?
I would like to let my BJP friend know that Vasudev Kutumbakam is the Sanskruti of our Indian culture, and it's not only after 2014 or even after Bharatiya Janata Party had formed his party in this country. And what we want to say is that anyone who is in the country as a citizen has to give due respect. Regarding Assam, the Assam chief minister is double engine Sarkar is letting people know that it's difficult for a chief minister to stay in Assam. Then what kind of administration you are going with? And if there is a demographic changes, who is responsible? International borders are under the control of central government, and Assam is also a state where Bharatiya Janata Party is there. Then what is the problem with you? If really infiltration is there, you should remove those people out of this country. Nobody is stopping you. You want to just make hue and cry regarding this religion and make other parties responsible for making this Hindu-Muslim. It is you are responsible.
Can I please
Take the
just-
So,
responsibility.
Radhika, how do you address fears with regards to the demographic changes in tribal areas, not just in Assam? You're looking at Meghalaya, you're looking at Mizoram, and even Tripura, and they all come in the sixth schedule of the Constitution and are covered under areas of the inner line. So, you know, there are those concerns as well. And just today, we are hearing of reports that Himanta Biswa Sarma has gone on to say on record that only 3 people have been granted citizenship under CAA out of the 12 which had in fact filed for citizenship. There is this challenge of not many people stepping forward to come and claim citizenship under CAA, and even the ones who are claiming citizenship, only 3 have been granted. Why so?
See, why 3 have been granted everything. When you apply for citizenship, there are lots of things in that needs to be met with rules and regulations, and everything will be done in a very transparent manner. We are not going to hide everything, but the Congress and the opposition need to stop spreading this fear. Their only job, because in the last 11 years that we've seen, is spreading fear. Darao, and bhatkao. They have to stop that. They tried to scare and bhatkao the nation during the Lok Sabha elections by saying Samvidhan khatre mein hai. Now again, they've started this when we know categorically for a fact that Congress has gone on to accept that they bank upon the Rohingyas and they bank upon those people who come and settle in India, and they are the ones who vote for them. If you remember the Jharkhand election, the Congress in charge for Jharkhand, who is also a very senior leader from Jammu Kashmir, he is the AICC General Secretary, he went on to say कि हमारी सरकार आती है तो जो ये रोहिंग्या भी यहाँ पे रह रहे हैं उनको भी 300 रुपए का सिलेंडर दिया जाएगा. He accepted that they are waiting for and they are going to give the same benefits to the Rohingyas who will vote for them. Why is he talking to the Rohingyas? The Rohingyas are not our voters. And who made the Rohingyas our voters? Here we are talking about let me be very clear. India has always been a natural civilizational refuge, which is why the CAA was enacted to give these minorities not just temporary shelter, but dignity, belonging, and security. That is what every human being in this world deserves. Now, the government's latest notification has gone one step further to ensure that non-Muslim refugees will not be deported. Is that the problem that these people have?
Perhaps
Like I
they
said,
do.
the only
Perhaps
one-
they do. That's also a
That's
question
not-
that they are.
Well, they
Okay,
can live with that problem. The nation is not accepting them.
True,
This
true.
is the
Radhika,
kind of
Radhika,
politics
Radhika,
that the nation has been
let's
rejecting
also
for 11
welcome
years.
views. Let's welcome views from the other side of the political spectrum as well. Tausif, what is the bone of contention here? Is it that you're looking at non-Hindus, perhaps even the Rohingyas, the Ahmadiyas, the Shias, who have also been persecuted, Sri Lankan Tamils and the Bhutanese also, the Hazaras? Is it also the fact that they are not being considered for this kind of citizenship that's become a bone of contention?
Akansha, first of all, anyone who wishes to register themselves under CAA will have to declare themselves as an illegal foreigner. And there are so many people who already have, by reason of them living in the country, already have, documents like Aadhaar or the ration card and availing several benefits. For example, Mamata Banerjee, particularly in this one, tribal area, had already given land patta rights to a huge population, and they are all migrants from Bangladesh and
Sure.
living in the country for over decades, 2 decades. Therefore, the question really is, if they apply under CAA for a citizenship, they will first have to declare themselves as an illegal foreigner. And their land patta rights that they have already taken from state government, the various documents issued by the central government, like Aadhaar or ration card or various other documents, what happens to them? Therefore, there's a great
Okay,
confusion
Tausif,
with
you've
regard to CAA.
highlighted a problem.
Secondly,
Okay, stay with me. You've highlighted a problem which I want to take up with Harsh Daya, who I can see has also joined in. Harsh, with whatever experience you've had in the legal field, how do you assess the challenges that are currently facing the CAA? Because even though it was notified back in 2019, we all have seen there was a massive delay in implementing the rules. And now, even when the implementation has taken place, the challenges that have come to the forefront include that how are illegal immigrants expected to come up with documents when they have none?
Akansha, first of all, my sincere apologies. I was having some trouble with the internet, and hence I'm joining from my phone.
Sure.
And when you talk about these legal challenges, more than legal challenges, the biggest challenge to CA have been these deadly protests which happened in Delhi, and we have seen how Delhi was, Delhi was stopped by these miscreants who created a riot-like situation in the capital, and almost like 20-30 people lost their lives in that. And that too, when it doesn't affect the community that was protesting against the CA. It has nothing to do with them. It doesn't affect their nationality or their citizenship in any way. Atmosphere of fear was created for, garnering vote bank in name of religion, like it has been done in the country from last 75 years. The same thing was being done. And when we come to the legal challenges, I don't see any big legal challenge. The constitutionality of CA already has been upheld by the Supreme Court, and it is the right of the government under Section 11 or under Article 11 of the Constitution to make changes to any citizenship act or charter, and government is well within its right by introducing CA and by making these changes.
Harsh, the fact is that there are several petitions still pending in the Supreme Court. And so there are a host of challenges that cannot be denied. I have the data in front of me, and we all know that there are fears over here that there is an anti-bias with regards to Muslims that's being linked. There is the impending fear of an NRC. How do you speak to those fears? Because it's important that we, through our medium, can address those fears today.
Akansha, this fear has been created out of thin air. Okay. If we go back to 1947, India was divided on basis of not any religion, but on basis of Islamic lines, wherein India remained a secular country. But we had 2 Islamic countries carved out of India. And even after that, even after having 2 Islamic countries carved out of India, that is Bangladesh and Pakistan, and if we have to accommodate Islamic, people from those countries, then what was the use of the partition first? Second thing, Muslims are in majority in Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan. All these three nations where minorities are facing persecution. So, under what context should Muslims be given citizenship from these countries? How are they persecuted? They are in majority over there. This is for the minorities of these countries, specifically Hindus, Christians, Jains, Buddhists, or other smaller
Okay.
Minorities in those countries.
Okay,
So this is
Nicole, would you
specifically for the
want to come
minorities,
in
not
on?
for the majority.
Okay, would you like to come in on the point that's just been made over here by Harsh? Given that we are looking at certain persecuted minorities, my question still stands. What happens to the Sri Lankan Tamils then? By that logic, even the Hazaras, the Shias, the Ahmadiyas, even say the Bhutanese, not just Rohingyas, of course. Nicole, would you like to come in on that point?
Yeah, definitely. If say government in the broader perspective wants to think of minorities, especially in nearby countries, then they must put some lines into the notification as well as the act, because they need to amend it. I really appreciate your thought process regarding Sri Lankan Tamils, because they are also facing so many problems, and we have seen how Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated during those days by sending a peacekeeping force over there. So I think if a government wants to think in a broader perspective, it will be always welcome step. And I rightly acknowledge what my fellow partner said about that. If Bangladesh and Pakistan having a majority of Islamic people there, then it's no use of bringing them back here. But definitely, as a country as a whole, we should always give right to the citizens which are in need of. And if we are thinking of a broader perspective, then all aspects should be taken care of.
Radhika, would you like to come in on that aspect? With regards to why only limit this to Hindus or Christians, Parsis and Jains?
Which are the countries that we're surrounded by? We're surrounded by Bangladesh, we have Afghanistan, we have Pakistan, and they are Muslim majority countries. And we have seen that non-Muslims, whether it is Hindus, whether it is Christians, Parsis, all of them are facing issues over there.
No, but
So
Sri
why should we
Lankan
not-
Tamils are also facing issues in Sri Lanka. There are Ahmadiyas who are facing issues over there in Pakistan as well. So, and you also have the issue of the Hazaras there. So, I mean, these are all minorities coming in from neighboring countries only.
Well, the government has taken a call, and if the opposition thinks that there are certain people who have been left out, they should pick it up in Parliament, which is why Parliament is conducted 4 times a year. But the opposition chooses to sit outside and do drama with just posters and banners. Priyanka Vadra will talk about Palestine, but if there are certain issues that she needs to talk about, she will not talk about that. These are issues, which is why the parliament is there. They should be discussed. If they have issues, they should talk about it. You can't just keep holding the country to refuge like that and spread fake news. Does this fact that they are the people also who need this kind of refuge give the Congress or the opposition the right to spread fake news that we are only targeting the Muslims and ensuring that they are not given any shelter? That is incorrect. If you think certain people are being left out, let's have a discussion. The government is here to listen to your ideas, but that is what the opposition is not doing. The only thing that they do is spread this fake narrative, dar philao, bhram philao, और लोगों को भ्रमित करो. I will repeat it again. Like I said, अगर आपके पास ये points है, bring them up in Parliament. Has Rahul Gandhi spoken about this point? No. Has Priyanka Vadra spoken about this point? No. Has the Chief Minister of West Bengal spoken about this point? No. They'll say, oh, you're about to lose in Bengal, you're about to lose in Bihar. Sir, we are not about to lose in Bengal, we are not about to lose in Bihar. It is you who are seeing your reign about to finish in West Bengal, which is why you're trying to spread this narrative as a last claw to hang on to bhai kisi tarah hamare paas power tik jaye. Stop spreading these lies. The people of the nation have voted you to give them the truth. If you think that the government is not doing their bit and there are certain people who are left out, let's talk about it. Bring it to the notice. Has anyone written about it or spoken one word about this? That we are having this discussion here. Has anyone
that's an interesting part that you raise about Bihar and Bengal particularly, and that's why, Tausif, I want to quickly bring you in. the Mathua community has been used as this crucial vote bank over here. The TMC has been accusing the BJP of particularly wooing this community. But I want to quickly get into some facts. In the 1960s, the refugee groups were wooed by the communists in Bengal. And in 2009, the TMC government, the TMC, only to replace or dethrone the communists there, the Mamata Banerjee-led entire TMC, in fact, did the very thing. They wooed the Mathuas, and that is also what led to their victory in 2009. So if the BJP is also planning to do that, what's the harm? Is this not a hypocrisy of sorts by the TMC when they are coming up with that allegation?
Look, BJP may think that they are smarter than Mathua community. Mamata Banerjee has left the matter to the community for them to decide who they want to vote for. In 2019, BJP did gather some votes from the Mathua region.
No, fair enough, but then don't accuse.
They have lost it.
But it's become part of the political narrative and the rhetoric that only to woo them is the BJP doing this. This move is to, in fact, woo the Mathua community. But whereas when this was what the TMC also did in 2009.
That is BJP's business of wooing any community for vote, be it Mathua or be it Hindus. The Mamata Banerjee believes in empowering the people, and Mamata Banerjee has empowered the Mathua community. They are represented in West Bengal Assembly. They are represented in Indian Parliament. There are numbers of MLAs and MPs from Mathua community, and it reached its peak under Mamata Banerjee because she gave so many tickets so that the community can have their representation at the right places, and the community as a whole can develop.
Radhika, would you like to weigh in on that claim that's being made by Tausif that it is only the BJP which is wooing certain communities in Bengal?
You know, it's really ironical when whether it is Mamata Banerjee's party or the Congress party, they are absolutely known for wooing only one section of the society, that is the Muslims. In every aspect of their politics, their entire politics just revolves around the Muslim vote bank. They don't care two hoots about what happens to the other citizens of the country. They don't care about the majority religion or the other minorities for that matter. The Congress does not care about the Sikhs. They don't care about the Christians. They don't care about the Parsis, the Jains. They have a problem with everyone. We are not only talking about only Hindus over here. We are talking about every minority in these countries. And like I said, for any nation or any state to progress, you have to talk about all the religions living there. The Congress and Mamata Banerjee have to get out of this vote bank politics, which is why they have been again and again dissed by the people of the country, and then they will go and cry ki vote chori ho gayi, vote chori ho gayi. No, you are ensuring that you lose. And I'm not saying that you should not talk about the minorities, but you should equally talk about other religions. Muslims are not the only people that live in this world.
All right, I'm afraid I'll have to wrap the discussion now, but I do hope that now that these rules are being pushed, we do hope that the ones who deserve citizenship under CAA are granted that citizenship despite not being able to provide those documents that are being expected out of them. Many thanks to you all for joining in on PlainSpeak. With that, shifting focus over to the other big story of the day, when Donald Trump is not firing his trade salvo at India, he is taking jibes at strongmen. That from Russia, China and North Korea. But China's President Xi, on the other hand, is busy reshaping the world order. This as he played host to leaders of over 25 nations today, as Beijing unveiled one of its largest highly choreographed events, its military parade, which many have viewed as a grand finale to the recently concluded SCO summit in Tianjin. Here's why the West is worried. They're calling it the axis of upheaval. Dubbed as pariahs by the West, today Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong Un are President Xi's guests of honor. This as China plays host to a military parade in Beijing, marking 80 years since the end of the Second World War. Even though the Chinese president greeted more than 25 foreign leaders, it's this imagery that's troubling the US President Donald Trump. as he ranted in a Truth Social post, reminding China of the US assistance against Japan. But Trump did not just leave it at that. He turned sharply critical, accusing Xi of conspiring with Putin and Kim Jong Un against the United States of America. Call it optics or powerful imagery, from Russia, North Korea to Iran or Myanmar. Xi has hosted some of the world's most heavily sanctioned nations and a host of leaders of the global south, but no notable Western leader. Interestingly, the highly choreographed event is one of China's largest in years. Riding in an open-top limousine, Xi inspected his troops, with his cutting-edge military equipment being the special highlight. From hypersonic missiles, underwater drones, and a weaponized robot Wolf, all on display. Credit China's long-running modernization drive of the People's Liberation Army. This as thousands of soldiers marched down Tiananmen Square, with formations from various military branches that included the PLA Army, Navy, Air Force, Joint Logistics Support Force, and Rocket Force, as well as the newly established branches such as the Aerospace Force. Beijing also used the event to showcase various land-based weapon systems, unmanned aerial vehicles, and missile systems. But the cherry to the icing was the debut of the DF-61, all set to be part of the PLA Rocket Force's long-range missile operations. In fact, it's China's most advanced intercontinental ballistic missile after the DF-41. Also appearing for the first time was the JL-3. That's a new third-generation intercontinental range submarine-launched ballistic missile, one crucial for the PLA's sea-based nuclear deterrence operations. A multiple rocket launcher, the PHL-16, known as the PCL-191, was also on display. It's referred to as the mainland Chinese version of Lockheed Martin's High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, or HIMARS, a rocket system already purchased by Taiwan and deployed. But China's version is believed to enhance the country's offensive capabilities, especially in the event of contingencies in the Taiwan Strait for its long-range strike abilities. What also stood out was a growing focus on nuclear weaponry. The DF-31BJ, the newest road mobile variant of the DF-31 solid-fuel intercontinental ballistic missile, also made it to the parade. With an operational range of more than 11,000 kilometers, this IBM was test-launched in September last year. So clearly, the PLA is not just playing catch-up to the West, but also preparing for future warfare. Not surprising why President Xi declared that mankind is faced with the choice of peace or war. But remember, commemorating the 80th anniversary is not just about a military parade for China. It's more of a show of military and diplomatic strength by Beijing. One that's against the wider West, particularly amid a trade war with Trump. Even better timed after the recently concluded SCO summit in Tianjin, where the presence of India's Prime Minister Modi revealed the shifting sands of global diplomacy. A moment where India-China relations are stabilizing and India-US relations have gone south. All right, let me introduce my esteemed guests today. I'm joined in by Andrew K.P. Lung, who's a China strategist, Fred Weir, renowned journalist and Russia affairs expert, Antara Ghoshal Singh, who's a China fellow at ORF. Many thanks to you, Antara, and the gentlemen for joining in. Andrew K.P. Lung, I must congratulate China for pulling off this feat, but how do you assess this show of strength? Is it to be seen from the prism of being an anti-West show of strength, particularly given that it's come soon after the recently concluded SCO summit in Tianjin?
First of all, I must correct the Western narrative that somehow these countries rallying together, except of course democracies like India, are so-called axis of evil, in the sense that as far as China is concerned, at least, very different from other countries like Russia or North Korea, of course, that the Chinese government is most supported by its people, because
Andrew, they are not calling it the axis of evil. I must correct you. Okay. They're calling it the axis of upheaval. Upheaval.
Okay, upheaval. No. Now,
but that's equally worrisome.
Okay. this parade has four important subtexts. The first one is the determination or reconfirmation of China's ability to realize the China dream of national renaissance. First of all, military capabilities that you have outlined in your introduction, consisting of intercontinental missiles that have multiple warheads, separately navigable, and also submarine launch warheads, air launch warheads, sixth-generation fighters. This is all a military determination, a showcase of China's military capability against any military coercion. To realize, to continue with China's trajectory, to realize the China dream. So that's one subtext. The other subtext is, of course, the China's reconfirmation of a purging of a century of humiliation, harking back to the China's suffering during the Second World War and the invasion of China before then, and periods of upheaval in China. So this period, dating back to the tail end of the Qing dynasty, represented China's so-called century of humiliation. And now this specter is now being purged by showcasing China's development. It's the world's second largest economy, and its military and also geopolitical abilities. The third subtext is the SCO forum held in Beijing, acts as a rallying point of the Global South, of which all the countries, big and small in the Global South, are suffering from President Trump's unilateral American first coercion and bullying. And not that they would like to form a bloc against the United States, because I don't think that any country, China included, wants to make an enemy of the United States, but recalibrate their relationship with the world's, still the world's largest and most powerful superpower, which is the United States, but try to navigate the treacherous waters represented by President Trump's bullying, and also to recalibrate relationships between each other, even though huge differences remain, for example, between India and China, and to a certain extent, even between China and Russia. Now, the fourth subtext is the represented by the release of a lot of peace doves flying into the air, peaceful balloons, representing that the whole world should treasure the peace dividend after the end of the Second World War. And the peace dividend requires a reform of the global order, away from unilateralism, away from single power hegemony, and trying to bend the world to its single power will, trampling on other countries' sovereignty, as in the case of even Canada or Greenland, and not least the tariff.
That's true. And that was the message that was sent out by the Chinese president as well, that the world and mankind today have a choice between peace or war. Thank you for, in fact, shedding light on all of those very, eloquently framed subtexts to today's military parade. But Fred, I want to quickly bring you in on the reaction we've seen come in from the White House today, as the US president not just lashed out at China for perhaps, he sent out that reminder that it was the US which stood by China's side in their freedom struggle. There could be a bit of fact-checking, as he was perhaps referring to the U.S. assistance against against someone like a country like Japan. But keeping that aside, more importantly, he's accused the Chinese president of colluding with Vladimir Putin and colluding with Kim Jong Un against the United States. How do you assess that statement?
Well, these events, I mean, the SCO summit and this huge, impressive military parade are being viewed in Moscow as really momentous. I think that the Russian media celebration, coverage of this week's events is far more significant than, say, the way they covered the Alaska summit with President Trump. I think the view in Moscow is that Russia is turning irrevocably east, giving up its connections with the West, its aspirations say, economic integration with Western Europe, which were very much a thing in the early Putin era. So the short answer to your question is I think this kind of conspiratorial rhetoric, this accusing tone out of Washington is nothing new. And I think they're less and less interested in Moscow in responding to that. I mean, it's perfectly clear, whether even if you leave aside the sense in Moscow that a new era is being born, the multipolar era of the world is coming into being, the unipolar moment is over. I mean, there's a lot of really, hyper rhetoric around this. But in fact, something is happening. It's not just the SCO, but the BRICS Plus group. Many countries are eager to join. There is a movement afoot in the global South, and it's orienting on China, and Russia is part of that. Of course, there's a lot of differences between these countries, but there is a sense here in Moscow that this is momentous.
True.
This is history.
And given the time that the Russian president spent in Alaska, contrast that with the amount of time he's spent in China, given that he's been there for quite a few days now when he arrived for the SCO summit to begin with. Many would now also question Donald Trump's claims of calling Putin his friend and not really taking anything forward from that Alaska summit as far as mediating the war in Ukraine is concerned. But I want to quickly bring in my third guest over here today, Antra. The big elephant in the room also happens to be the presence of the Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and also the Field Marshal Asim Munir, who have had a meeting with President Xi. Given the kind of military assistance we've seen coming from China, not just in terms of defense sale to Pakistan, but also the real-time intel sharing that's taken place, there are concerns that China has with regards to CPEC, which have also been addressed by the Pakistani Prime Minister today in that meeting as far as CPEC is concerned. What do you make of this at a time when India and China are still in the process of trust building?
Yes, thank you so much. On the Pakistan angle, we all are aware that China has very deep ties with Pakistan. It has always had. And yes, from military assistance to economic assistance, you name it, and assistance at the, global level, China is always there for Pakistan. But with the intensification of the great power competition, you can see that both China and the United States is trying to drive as many countries as possible in their camp, and we have seen it during Operation Sindoor as well. The U.S. stance on Pakistan is again getting complicated. So what doesn't come across so much in Indian media is that how U.S. and China is fighting in Pakistan, We have seen Asim Munir and other Pakistani high officials visiting the United States in last few months. Many times they have visited, and they are visiting China also, one after another. So, there is a competition taking place between China and United States on Pakistan, which I think in India we have to be slightly careful of, and we have to follow it more closely.
Andrew K.P. Lang, before I wrap up my discussion, quick 1 minute to all of you. To begin with, Andrew, this entire show of strength, most of them were so-called strongmen who are labeled as fascist leaders by the West. But most importantly, they are all heavily sanctioned countries, sanctioned by the United States. Whether you're looking at Iran, whether you're looking at North Korea, you're looking at Russia, all of them were together. Has it also somewhere fanned Donald Trump's fears of what he calls an attempt to de-dollarize the global economy?
Well, first of all, it's not easy for the Global South or the entire world to de-dollarize very easily because the US dollar still remains supreme. And you talk about the renminbi, it's only a tiny fraction of the world financial system. But nevertheless, countries are finding alternative means for trade, for international settlement. That's true. But the dollarization is not going to happen globally anytime soon. But that's the trajectory. Secondly, the main message of this forum is that the whole world system is now totally upended, and the Global South is finding ways to steer the world towards a more peaceful, cooperative, and inclusive and fairer environment. Rather than suffering from Americans' unilateral coercion. But as far as China is concerned, China is unique in this, in that it's found a stranglehold on Americans' Achilles heel, which is unlike any other countries on earth. It's China's dominance in the production of rare earths. I use the production, the term advisedly, because it's not just supply, you can find rare earth elsewhere, but the production of the very dirty and very complicated kind of processes, and hundreds, thousands of different processes depending on which product you find will end up with the rare earth elements, which goes into even military weaponry, like F-35 fighters.
Right.
Now, this is a unique weapon, and China is in that unique position to be able to withstand American coercion through the tariff war.
Okay, quickly, Fred, how do you assess the kind of weaponry we've seen on display? Many are talking about how several ICBMs over there were also China's response to perhaps the Lockheed Martin in the United States. Given that you also have Kim Jong Un over there, you have the Russian president, what does it make of the military capabilities of all of these countries together versus the West?
I think it's certainly impressive. China is the world's second biggest economy, and it is generating innovation, technological change at a very rapid pace, and you would expect that to show up in its military preparedness. I think that Russia too, although it was building a consumer economy for quite a while, for much of the Putin era, has now lurched into a war economy, and it too, you see, is military industry is ramping up. I don't like this trend in the world, but there it is, and it's on full display.
All right, Antra, your closing thoughts on how you witness or rather assess the changing times of global diplomacy, given that we've seen how Donald Trump continues with his tariff salvo at a time when the relationship with India is going down south, but it only seems to be looking up as far as China is concerned at the moment. I don't want to overstate it. We're still in the process of building confidence, but your thoughts?
Right. See, as you can see, everything is in flux, so no one is sure which country stands where, what kind of trade deals are being, agreed upon. So it is very confusing right now, and everybody is hedging, So even in case of India, we have been trying to improve our ties with China, and this is one of the way of hedging the uncertainty that is coming from Washington. So I would say that right now it's very difficult to understand, where everybody is standing. So it's like, we have to wait it out to see where the trend takes us.
All right. Many thanks to you, Antra, Andrew, and Fred. Pleasure having you on my show as always. Thank you so much for watching the PlainSpeak from CNN News 18 Primetime Studio, presented by Schneider Electric Smart Home Solutions. The Right Stand is coming up next with Poonam Budde.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Welcome back. You're watching the Breaking News Show right here on CNN News 18. Let's take you right now to visuals that we've got coming in from China, where after wrapping up the SCO summit, President Xi Jinping, hosting the country's largest ever military day parade today, seeks to recast Beijing as the custodian of a post-US international order at a time of deep geopolitical uncertainty. Now, the parade you're watching is a presentation of Chinese military might, with China unveiling for the first time some of its most modern weaponry, including jet fighters, missiles, and the latest electronic warfare hardware. The goal, as we told you earlier, was very much to showcase military might. Hundreds of People's Liberation Army aircraft were displayed in the parade, according to Chinese military officials. 20 of the world's leaders, in fact 26 foreign leaders, including Russian President Vladimir Putin, North Korean leader Kim Jong Un, leaders of Iran, Malaysia, Myanmar, Mongolia, Indonesia, Zimbabwe, all attending. And from India's neighborhood, you have Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, Nepal Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli, Maldives President Mohammad Muizzu, all attending the parade. We're just continuing to show you visuals as they come in on this story. Hundreds of troops taking part in this parade. This parade is held to commemorate the Chinese victory over Japanese aggression. That's how they describe it in World War II. And this was the 80th anniversary. We're just going to go over to our colleague Siddhant to understand more. Siddhant, first tell us, the 26 leaders who were in attendance, even the manner in which they're made to stand, the manner in which the photo ops takes place, highlight the level of importance that the state of China wants to give them. So can you just tell us a little bit about what there is to be made from these visuals that are playing on our screens?
Well, Toya, this is the show of strength being done by Chinese leadership. Not just a message to be sent to the world, but also to his people, Chinese people, because they celebrate this day as the victory over the Japanese forces in World War II, and very strategically, the SCO summit was also planned 2 days ahead of this day, so that the leaders participating in the SCO summit could stay back and be the part of this grand military parade organized by the Chinese government at Tiananmen Square in Beijing. Now, this show is has laser weapon display, nuclear ballistic missiles, and giant underwater drones were shown. In fact, President Xi Jinping said his country was unstoppable and will never be intimidated by bullies. In fact, he was joined today by 26 heads of state, including Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong Un. This is the first time President Putin and Kim have met together. In fact, U.S. President Donald Trump also, Toya, posted a message on Truth Social saying that all are conspiring against the United States. So, as I said, that this has more to do with sending message out to the world and to the Chinese people that this is new China, perhaps, which is reshaping the global world order. This is new China, which is backed by so many countries. They were like 26 odd world leaders, including army generals, etc., parading right behind Xi Jinping at the time of the entry into the Tiananmen Square. And in fact, the generals, the soldiers fought in the World War II were also honored. And in fact, there was this handshake ceremony which was organized, and all these world leaders shook hands with these soldiers who fought in World War II. So as I said, that this has to do with the show of strength and also an opportunity for China to showcase the cutting-edge technology, drone technology, ballistic missiles, etc. to the world. Also very interesting that India did not take part in this military parade. It has to do with the sensitivities of Japan because Japanese embassy from last 1 month have been urging countries not to be the part of the military parade. But many countries chose to stay back, and they are to be part of the military parade. The Indian Prime Minister is back to Delhi. So the message is clear that, and also, Xi Jinping wants himself to be positioned, at par with the U.S. president. So in these times when Trump's tariff are not only dominating the headlines, but the global world order, and global order is under churn because of that. Xi Jinping wants to be seen as the leader of the global South. It also talks about the South-South friendship, etc. So these are some of the messages which China wants to send out to the world, and perhaps the U.S. government is closely monitoring the development taking place in Beijing.
Siddhant, what is the external ministry?
18 Primetime Studio, presented by Schneider Electric Smart Home Solutions.
Good evening. You're watching The Right Stand with me, Poonam Burde. We're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 Primetime Studio, presented by Schneider Electric Smart Home Solutions. Modi government has taken a significant step to give asylum to persecuted minorities. Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis and Christians from Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan who came to India before December 31st, 2024 to escape religious persecution will now be allowed to stay in the country without a passport or any other travel documents. This significant order, issued under the just implemented Immigration and Foreigners Act 2025, will come as a relief to a large number of people, especially those minorities, those Hindus who fled Bangladesh in the last 1 year after the fall of the Sheikh Hasina government. This decision also carries immense political weight, especially in states like West Bengal and Assam, both of which go to elections next year. In fact, the BJP is definitely sensing that this will set a narrative that will help them politically. Sources, in fact, have revealed how this notification is seen to be making the party stronger in its position that it stands for protection of persecuted minorities, especially Hindus. This comes at a time when reports of violence against Hindus in Bangladesh are only growing after Sheikh Hasina's ouster. Many of those persecuted crossed into India. Now, this notification ensures that these persecuted Hindus will not be sent back, and the move allows the BJP to project itself as a protector of the Hindu community in times of need. Hindu organizations can also reassure people that the Indian government does stand by these persecuted Hindus. Bengal BJP leaders, in fact, also believe that this decision reinforces their image as the only party that will protect Hindus. That's a stance that they have taken many a times against the ruling TMC, that Mamata Banerjee and her government are against the majority community. This also demonstrates that BJP keeps its word as far as shielding the Hindu community against torture or demographic threats is concerned. Union Minister Shrikant Majumdar has called it a big relief for persecuted Hindus, thanking Prime Minister Modi and Union Home Minister Amit Shah after this Gazette notification.